What do all these clips have in common? All the players are using golf equipment that is made by one company, whether it's the clubs or what they're wearing. You will have heard of some of their products: Titleist, Vokey, Scotty Cameron, Footjoy. But did you know that all of these brands were molded by the company with the intention of dominating all aspects of the golf equipment industry? The company is called Acushnet, and this video details its story. Acushnet did not start off by selling golf balls. Founded by Philip Skipper Young in 1910, the company took advantage of the market's substandard rubber by using a never-before-seen approach. Instead of using rubber trees from the Brazilian Amazon, they used a Mexican plant called guayule. Despite this plant having a more complicated extraction process, they figured out a way to extract rubber efficiently. This proved to be very profitable. However, a decade later, the company was dealt a serious blow. With the increase of plantations in Southeast Asia, rubber prices dropped by over half, meaning that Acushnet's business model had become financially unfeasible. In response, the company totally changed direction by buying new machines to start producing consumer goods like inflatable toys and medical equipment. They did this in spite of making a yearly profit of around $200,000, around $3 million today, which just goes to show how seriously they took their market analysis and the future of the company. This proved to be a great decision, as the strategy financially invigorated the company and gave it the exposure it needed to understand the consumer goods market, laying the foundation to its entry into the golf business. It's 1930 and Skipper stood over a crucial putt on the final hole in a match against his friends. He took back the club, put a good stroke on the ball, and watched the ball curve away from the hole. He couldn't believe it. He was adamant with his playing partners that the ball was the reason he missed the putt. By the end of the night, Skipper had convinced his friend, a dentist, to put his balls under an X-ray machine. And wouldn't you know it, despite the outsides being round, the core was way off center. They headed back to the pro shop to test out if the same applied for the other brands, and it did. Skipper was immediately hooked to the idea of producing better golf balls, but despite being successful in producing rubber products, he had no idea how to manufacture golf balls. Fortunately, a few years later, he met with Fred W. Boehmer, who previously had a company that enjoyed success in making golf balls for Wilson and McGregor, but was suffering financially under the Great Depression. Fred and his brother joined Acushnet in 1932, and this partnership laid the foundation of the company starting to enter the golf industry. The first big change they made was to sell exclusively to pro shops. The company wanted to focus on only selling premium high-margin balls, which were predominantly sold on golf courses. Not only did it avoid tying up capital and producing lesser balls, the move also increased brand loyalty from club professionals, who usually had to worry about their customers buying the balls cheaper elsewhere. Despite getting angry letters from the department stores that made up half their volume the year before, their sales were the same the year after they started exclusively selling to pro shops. Decades later, Wilson Golf, a competitor, did not realize the importance of pro shops when making a deal with Walmart to cut them out of selling golf equipment. This was one of the reasons for the downfall of the sports brand. Check out the other reasons in my last video, which I made on this topic, linked below. Now, the only part that was left was to get customers to want the product. Again, Skipper had a crazy but genius idea. He started a roadshow where they would tour the country to promote the golf balls at every golf club they could get an audience at. They brought several machines, including a portable X-ray, a putting machine, and a machine that they could hit the golf ball 600 yards with. The crowd sizes ranged between a handful of golfers to thousands of spectators, proving to be a resounding success. In 1937, Skipper took a meeting with the US Army General to create rubber molds for gas masks. This relationship with the government further continued throughout the Second World War, where large contracts were given to the company once the US declared war on the Japanese Empire in 1941. Once the US entered the war, the government had very strict controls over rubber manufacturing outside of military use. This included the production of golf balls, so during the war, Acushnet resorted to having golfers send in old golf balls to have them recycled and reused. In the first 4 years after the war, spending on furniture and appliances increased by 240%. Each year, American families bought millions of cars, refrigerators, stoves, and televisions. Not everybody could afford the most expensive items, but data show that spending on items for the home also rose among lower-income families. This meant that Acushnet was one of the few companies that could take advantage of this increase in consumer spending by using their existing capital. Their ability to supply the market with their product allowed them to establish themselves as the #1 played golf ball in the market and on the pro tournament circuit, while generating millions in revenue in the meantime. After buying more factories, the company made use of their new manufacturing space by investing in additional golf businesses. This move would lay the foundation to their successful line of golf clubs and apparel. Acushnet's golf business was doing great, and their salespeople were generating a lot of revenue for the company. After finding out that they were also selling a product called the Bullseye Putter, Acushnet decided to contact its maker, a man by the name of John Reuter. Impressed by the quality of the product, they offered Reuter to buy out his company, handle the business side of things, and leave the manufacturing to him. Apart from making Reuters very wealthy, this move enhanced the brand's reputation by putting it in the hands of tour players. It was played by 40% of tour players in the 60s, and was most notably used by Johnny Miller to shoot a final round 63 to win the 1973 US Open by one shot. Needing a replacement for the Bullseye line, Scotty Cameron was acquired by Acushnet in 1994. Having to fight off 5 other club manufacturers for the man, the company gave Don Cameron a very similar deal to Reuters, giving the operational side to Acushnet and delegating all R&D to the man himself. Scotty Cameron is currently the second most played putter on the PGA Tour. The brand has also curated a cult following for putter collectors, to the point where some putters are worth in the 5 figures. Fun fact, the most expensive putter ever sold was also a Scotty. The operational model for the company's Vokey wedges is very similar. Bob Vokey joined Titleist in 1994 and soon started his own wedge department. In 2023, it's the most played wedge brand on tour, with over half of the players using it in competition. But interestingly, dominating the wedge market was never their intention.
It's funny, we did not set out to be the #1 wedge on tour. We didn't. We just set out to make great wedges. It wasn't until we were well into this that we realized we're going to be the #1 wedge on tour.
This point gives you an insight to how Acushnet approaches its brands. They employ a process-minded approach to working on a brand and finding out ways in which they can find advantages over their competition. This approach has made it difficult for competitors to achieve the same level of baseline quality across their product line, as they are competing with a company that only wants to do things right and leverages its skills and network to do so. However, this mentality nearly caused the company to miss out on purchasing Footjoy, now one of their flagship products. They had the opportunity to buy the brand at a fair price in 1975, but weren't sure if they could handle managing the brand. After realizing that opportunities are limited, they ended up buying the brand a decade later for a reported $57 million. It's been the #1 shoe on tour since, and a lesson for Acushnet to be aggressive in acquiring good quality brands at any price, something that they did when they acquired Scotty Cameron. If you look at a tour player like Will Zalatoris, you will notice that he plays a full Titleist bag and wears the Footjoy shoes and apparel. What Acushnet has done is kit out a player fully in their gear and have it feel natural and not overdone. They have completely avoided brand fatigue, the point where a brand's exposure gets annoying, and have done so by actively differentiating its brands to the point where many may not even know they are part of the same company. A strong distinction between brands also avoids confusion. Wilson struggled with getting consumers to understand the difference between its premium Wilson staff and its budget pro staff lines. On the other hand, with Acushnet, every golf player understands the differences between a Pinnacle and a Titleist Pro V1, or between a Scotty Cameron and a Vokey. This also means that the failure of one brand has a much lower chance of affecting the financials of another. The odds of failure for an Acushnet brand are quite low when you consider that operations and manufacturing are basically in-house, which means that the quality control is centralized to the company. Based on the fact that they do not compete in the lower price segments of golf equipment, this will likely stay this way, as the high margins allow them to maintain quality levels. Acushnet employed a strategy of what Michael Porter, a Harvard business professor, calls variety-based positioning, which is where a company focuses on producing a high-quality product for a certain industry segment. In other words, Acushnet's numerous brands have individually focused on solely producing and marketing one type of golf product, whether it be Scotty Cameron for putters, Vokey for wedges, or Footjoy for leather products. The strategic advantage that Acushnet has is that it owns multiple of these types of companies, which means that their reputation and the unique production model is difficult to replicate. This is crucial as a leading golf company, as they themselves say that golfers are not loyal to a select brand, but seek out best-in-class products in each category. Looking at their finances, we can see that the past few years have been good for the company. The first 9 months of 2022 have resulted in $1.82 billion in sales and an adjusted EBITDA, or profit, of $312 million. They would probably have made even more if the strong US dollar hadn't devalued foreign business revenues. If they continue following their mission statement of being the performance and quality leader in every golf product category in which they compete, the company's future will continue this positive financial trend. In the last few years, the company has expanded those golf product categories by purchasing the following companies. PG Golf, a company that owns LostGolfBalls.com, a large American seller of recycled golf balls/lake balls. Acushnet is not publicly advertised this purchase within its financial documents, likely to avoid cannibalizing the sales of their new golf balls. Links & Kings produces luxury leather golf and lifestyle products. Union Green, a company that wants to target a group of younger and more casual golf players. Union Green was not mentioned directly as a brand in their financial statements, so it is likely that Acushnet doesn't see a future with the company. Cages primarily sells for the cold weather climate. These acquisitions show the company's intention of remaining as market leaders within the golf industry. Thank you for watching this analysis of Acushnet. Check out my last video analyzing the downfall of Wilson Golf. Cheers and have a good day.